WNBA before Caitlin Clark and the WNBA after Caitlin Clark. Describe these two worlds.
Oh, entirely different. 180, you know. The WNBA before started in 1997, the year after the Atlanta Olympics, and was launched into a time when women's sports was still not taken seriously by a lot of, people. And some of those same guys now, if we want to talk about before and after, some of those same guys, or guys like them, are the ones buying the 22 jerseys, wearing them to games, Major, but also to the grocery store and to the gas station. Right. It is now cool to be a WNBA fan, and it is cool to love Caitlin Clark and the spotlight that is finally shining on these players.
What happens when a single athlete doesn't just join a league, but rewrites its DNA? For decades, the WNBA battled for mainstream attention. Arenas sat half empty, TV deals fizzled, and superstars faded into obscurity. Then came Caitlin Clark. Overnight, women's basketball wasn't just relevant, it was revolutionary.
Caitlin Clark meant to the WNBA.
Everything. She's changed the dynamic and history forever for women.
I see a lot of young girls here today, and I see how inspired they are, and she's even gotten me back into basketball.
I think she has brought attention. She did it for us. We had never watched, and we have become big fans.
I don't think her contributions have been extreme as what people think they are. I think the league in itself has been getting better, and that's really what we should be focusing on.
I think she's brought a lot of attention to the WNBA, and it's needed.
I think it's great. I actually grew up watching the WNBA, so it's really exciting to see a resurgence.
She meant everything. I never watched it before.
But behind the sold-out crowds and viral highlights, a storm brews. The league's golden goose faces sabotage from within, fans threaten mass exodus, and billion-dollar brands fumble in her wake. This isn't just a sports story. It's a ticking time bomb. A seismic 82% of Fever fans declared they'd abandon the team if Caitlin Clark left, a loyalty crisis rooted in her singular star power.
And there's enough votes here. This is a good test to see how bad this would be. Swag put this out, and it's starting to make the rounds. I voted. Okay, Fever fans, answer this. If Caitlin leaves Fever, would you still support the Fever? We got 1,145 votes here. Nope, my bags are packed is far and away leading.
These aren't traditional fans. They're Clark-converted newcomers who thought Fever was a symptom 6 months ago. Their allegiance isn't to Indiana, but to Clark herself, with one admitting. Her jersey isn't team logo, it's a GPS. Where she goes, we follow. This mirrors Clark's own commitment, as she recently stated. I certainly love it here, and hopefully I can play here for a few more years. Fever management risks an extinction-level fan exodus if they fail to build around her. Clark's influence transcends basketball, driving 500% merchandise sales growth for Fanatics and a 233% spike at Dick's Sporting Goods. Brands like Nike paying her $28 million over 8 years leverage her appeal, yet the league faces tension.
The living shit out of the Indiana Fever. So Indiana Fever, and it's been my belief that they will frickin' fire everyone. And I do believe this. So if you're a Fever fan and you're hoping they'll keep Caitlin Clark, it's my belief that when push comes to shove, there's no way they can let her get away. They will fire everybody and start over. That's my belief. I cannot imagine the level of fumbling the bag that would have to be done.
When Clark missed games, WNBA viewership plummeted 55% nationally, exposing the league's dependency on her star power. This paradox is stark. The WNBA profits from her fame, $1 billion estimated 2025 economic impact. Yet systemic issues like low player revenue shares, 9% versus NBA's 50% persist. Caitlin Clark's $78,066 rookie salary represents just 0.02% of the Indiana Fever's $340 million valuation, a glaring mismatch between her market value and compensation. While she earns millions off-court through deals with Nike, Gatorade, and State Farm, her on-court impact dwarfs her paycheck.
Listen, NBA players make 50% of revenues. WNBA players make 9%. And now the merch sales are up 500% and attendance is up, 40%. So they're going to get a raise. There's no question. And I don't really care that the previous 25 years they didn't make a lot of money or lost money. I don't care. They're in the middle of a negotiation and they're on a heater. So it doesn't really matter. I've said this before. I made an investment for 5 years and it lost money, and I got about 6 months left in the investment, and in the last 6 months they started making cash, I'm not bailing on the investment. I want to finally get my money back. So they're going to get a raise. They're finally turning a corner. But and negotiating in any business is all about current momentum. It's not about 12 years ago. It's about current momentum.
Consider this. Every Fever game averages 1.3 million viewers, a figure unimaginable before her arrival. When Clark plays away games, ticket prices for opponents surge 140% overnight as fans flock to see her. During her recent injury absence, Fever viewership immediately collapsed by 53%, proving she's the league's most powerful ratings engine. Yet the WNBA's $1.5 million team salary cap prevents franchises from paying stars their true worth. This forces generational talents like Clark to subsidize their careers through endorsements while driving historic revenue growth for the league.
Clark is a media driver. She is a ratings driver. Think about the NBA post Magic and Larry, the NBA post Michael Jordan, tennis post Serena Williams, golf post Tiger Woods, right? There are certain athletes that drive the sport more than others. And that's not to take away from anyone else drafted tonight. That's not to take away from the other incredible superstars in the WNBA right now.
The math is undeniable. Clark's jersey sales alone outpace entire teams, and Fever merchandise revenue now rivals NBA benchmarks. As the WNBA negotiates its next revenue-sharing deal, Clark's underpayment highlights a broken system where players receive just 9% of league income, while shouldering 100% of the on-court risk. For perspective, her salary equals roughly 2.5 hours of Nike's earnings from her signature shoe line. This isn't just unfair, it's unsustainable for a league banking on her stardom. Debates about Caitlin Clark's role reached a fever pitch during her injury absences. While the Fever secured 8 wins in 13 games with her versus 6 wins in 13 without her, some analysts controversially argued Indiana looked more dangerous without Clark, pointing to marginally fewer turnovers. One teammate even echoed this sentiment, stating, "If we don't have Caitlin, great. We know how to play without her." Yet the full story reveals Clark's irreplaceable impact. The Fever average 8.3 more points per game when she's on the floor.
23. I'm going to pass on that question, actually. WNBA star Caitlin Clark is transforming women's sports. She fills arenas night after night, and her games have smashed TV viewership records. And if you watch Clark play, well, it's not hard to figure out why. She makes deep three-pointers look easy. And like all stars, wants the ball when the game is on the line.
Her league-leading 8.6 assists per game create easy baskets for teammates, elevating their efficiency. Defenses collapse on her at the three-point line, freeing up driving lanes and offensive rebounds. Critics focusing solely on turnovers overlook her gravitational pull. She forces opponents to abandon their defensive systems. When Clark plays, the Fever's offense operates at an elite level, turning broken plays into highlight reel passes. Her absence might trim mistakes marginally, but it guts the team's creative engine and clutch scoring. The numbers don't lie.
I was mesmerized by her. And I will tell you this. This was the greatest performance I've ever seen in the NCAA tournament, girl or boy. Greatest performance.
On this biggest stage?
Well, I'll tell you why. Because rarely does a game like this live up to its hype.
Yeah.
You know, rarely do you have the two superstars play like superstars, because you got to understand the scout report is geared to stop you. You know, all the hype coming into this is going to be people who've never watched a girls' basketball game watched. A lot of people watched for the first.
With Clark, Indiana contends. Without her, they're fighting just to stay relevant. Clark's exclusion from Team USA's 2024 roster, reportedly to prioritize veterans' legacy farewells, contrasted with her cultural dominance. Her college games outdrew MLB broadcasts, and her absence from the 2025 All-Star Game triggered a 36% viewership drop, 3.44 M to 2.2 M.
About the Olympics, though.
On the night that I broke the news, someone read me the list that Caitlin Clark was not on the Olympic team, which was June 7th. She had just had 30 points and 7 threes against Washington in an amazing game. And bottom line on this is they did not want her on the team. There was either a sense that she needs to wait her turn. They wanted to give Diana Taurasi the going away present. Name another time when you would ever give an athlete a going away present with an Olympic berth. Outrageous. So Caitlin said, hey, it's okay. And in interviews, she said, it's all right, I'll make it the next time. Well, in the book, I have a wonderful anecdote from then.
As former ESPN executive John Cosner noted, Clark belongs in a rarefied company of Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, and Tiger Woods for transcending her sport. Before Caitlin Clark's arrival, the Indiana Fever played to sparse crowds in near-empty arenas, battling obscurity in a league struggling for mainstream attention. Fast forward to today, the Fever now outdraw their NBA counterparts, the Indiana Pacers, in shared arenas, averaging 17,035 fans per game, a figure that dwarfs pre-Clark attendance records. This seismic shift extends far beyond ticket stubs. Indianapolis hotels witness a 501% surge in bookings on game days, with restaurant and bars near Gamebridge Fieldhouse reporting unprecedented game day revenue spikes. Rideshare demand quadrupled on Fever game nights, while downtown parking structures, once half vacant, now display full signs hours before tip-off. The Clark effect isn't just filling seats, it's revitalizing urban economies block by block. Merchandise revolution. Clark's number 22 jersey isn't merely popular, it's a cultural phenomenon, ranking among the top 20 best-selling jerseys across all professional sports. Her merchandise outsold every NBA superstar except Stephen Curry last season. Fever team stores shattered sales records for times, with lines snaking around the arena hours before doors opened. Youth sizes flew off shelves at triple the rate of adult jerseys, signaling her unparalleled influence on the next generation. The Fever's overall merchandise revenue grew by 1,193% year over year, transforming the franchise from a financial afterthought into a merchandising powerhouse rivaling established NBA teams. Sponsorship and media renaissance. Corporate interest exploded alongside fan engagement. The Fever secured a 225% increase in sponsorships, with giants like Eli Lilly signing jersey patch deals. Local businesses pivoted strategies. Breweries created number 22 Golden Ale. Pizzerias offered Clark's three-pointer specials, and Indianapolis schools launched Caitlin Clark reading challenges. Media coverage underwent its own revolution. Fever games now command national broadcasts for all 40 regular season matchups, while social media metrics reveal Clark's gravitational pull, 800 million video views in 3 months, making the Fever the most watched pro sports team across all leagues, outperforming NFL, NBA, and MLB franchises. Demographic transformation. Clark's impact transcends traditional sports fandom. She attracted non-traditional audiences to women's basketball, fathers dissecting her step-back threes with sons, grandfathers texting live score updates to family group chats, and young boys proudly wearing her jersey to school. This demographic shift, dubbed the Clark effect, rewrote the WNBA's audience composition. Arenas now buzz with multi-generational families, while youth basketball camps report record female registrations nationwide. Former critics of women's sports now analyze Fever games on talk radio, and bars previously dedicated solely to men's sports now host Fever watch parties. Infrastructure and tourism boom. The Fever's soaring demand forced logistical innovations. Multiple WNBA teams relocated home games against Indiana to larger NBA arenas to accommodate ticket demand, a first in league history. In Washington, attendance jumped from 4,988 to 20,522 when Clark visited. Tourism boards leveraged her appeal, launching Indiana Hoops Heritage Trails, linking Fever games to basketball landmarks. The Fever's home, Gamebridge Fieldhouse, accelerated a $360 million renovation, adding Clark-themed exhibits and interactive shooting courts. Hotel packages bundling tickets with downtown experiences sold out months in advance, with visitors traveling from all 50 states and 12 countries specifically to see Clark play. Broader women's sports implications. Clark's influence catalyzed a rising tide for women's athletics. The Professional Women's Hockey League, PWHL, reported 33% attendance jumps and doubled merchandise sales after Clark's rookie season. Collegiate programs now leverage the Clark blueprint to recruit prospects, while brands redirected marketing budgets toward women's sports sponsorships. Trading card markets mirrored this shift. Clark's rookie cards now command higher prices than 90% of NBA players, with collectors treating them as premium assets. This reset proves women's sports aren't a niche market. They're a scalable, culturally resonant force with generational staying power. Navigating cultural tensions. This explosive growth hasn't been without challenges. The league faced incidents of toxic fandom, including racial harassment targeting players like Dejanai Carrington. Clark publicly condemned such behavior, affirming, "Nobody in our league should face racism or hate." The Fever organization responded by implementing enhanced fan conduct policies, allyship training for staff, and partnerships with inclusion-focused nonprofits. These measures underscore a critical lesson. Sustainable growth requires protecting the diverse community that makes women's basketball unique. Legacy beyond basketball. Ultimately, Clark's reset transcends statistics. She transformed the Fever from a team ignored by local media into a global attraction, driving downtown revitalization. Restaurants near Gamebridge Fieldhouse report 70% revenue boosts on game nights, while Indiana's tourism board credits her for the most significant cultural moment since the Indianapolis 500. Schools now design physics lessons around her three-point arc, and hospitals use her perseverance through adversity to inspire patients. This isn't just fandom, it's a shared civic identity forged through transcendent talent. As one lifelong Hoosier remarked, "She didn't just teach us to watch basketball, she taught us to see greatness." The stakes of losing Clark. Caitlin Clark isn't just Indiana's star player, she's the franchise's economic lifeline. If she departs, the Fever risk financial devastation that could unravel years of progress overnight. Consider these realities. Ticket revenue collapse. When Clark missed games, ticket prices for opposing teams plunged 71%, and attendance dwindled to pre-Clark levels. The Fever's home games now dominate StubHub's top 10 WNBA sales, a streak that would vanish without her. Sponsor Exodus. Major partners like Netflix, Stranger Things collab, and Nike leveraged Clark's cultural reach. Her exit would trigger contract clauses tied to her presence, costing the team millions. Merchandise freefall. Unprecedented jersey sales volume recently forced a team financial audit. Without Clark, Fever merchandise revenue, which grew 193%, would revert to niche status. Competitive implications. Indiana's on-court identity hinges on Clark's playmaking genius. Win probability plunge. The Fever are 8-5 with Clark versus 6-7 without her. Her league-leading 8.6 assists per game transformed teammates into efficient scorers, while her gravity creates open lanes. Late game void. Clark's 32-point comeback against New York showcased her clutch gene. Without her, the Fever lack a closer, evidenced by their 19-point fourth quarters during her absences. Defensive domino effect. Opponents double-team Clark 30 feet from the basket, freeing Fever post players. This strategic advantage disappears without her perimeter threat. Cultural erosion. Clark's value transcends statistics. She's a generational bridge connecting new audiences to women's sports. Demographic collapse. Families, young boys, and former skeptics packed arenas specifically for Clark. Their departure would erase the Fever's hard-won mainstream relevance. Media blackout. Fever games averaged 1.3 million viewers with Clark, but plummeted 53% without her. Broadcast partners would relegate Clark-less games to streaming obscurity. Youth engagement crisis. Indiana's basketball camp sold out within hours of Clark's draft. Her exit would crush youth participation and local talent pipelines. The ripple effect across the WNBA. Clark's departure wouldn't just hurt Indiana, it would destabilize the league. National revenue drop. A 70% league-wide viewership decline is projected without Clark, slashing the WNBA's upcoming media rights leverage. Sponsor skepticism. Brands investing in the Clark boom would question the WNBA's star-driven model, freezing expansion plans. Players' salary backlash. Revenue share negotiations would stall as Clark's absence proves players drive growth, yet earn just 9% of league income. Pathways to retention. Despite these stakes, Clark's recent comments hint at loyalty. I'm from the Midwest. I certainly love it here. To secure her future, Indiana must aggressive roster building, acquire elite shooters, e.g. 35% three-point specialists, to capitalize on Clark's double teams. Injury infrastructure. Invest in sports science after Clark missed 12 games with muscle injuries. Prioritizing long-term health. System adaptation. Coach Stephanie White must maximize Clark's transition play, not restrict it. The Fever score 8.3 more PPG when unleashing her creativity. Brand elevation. Cement Clark as the franchise cornerstone through equity partnerships or signature community projects. A warning from sports history. Indiana need only study the NBA's post-Jordan era or tennis after Serena Williams. Franchises fail when they undervalue transcendent talent. Clark's connection with fans, where jerseys act as GPS devices to her next team, is irreplaceable. The Fever's $340 million valuation hinges on her presence. Lose Clark, and they won't just rebuild a team, they'll resurrect a relic. Backhand index pointing right sound off. Is Caitlin Clark the WNBA's most transformative star? Vote below. Bell subscribe for coverage of the Fever's playoff push and the looming CBA showdown.